When your dog lunges or barks or loses its head at the end of the lead and you think it's a behaviour problem, there are more chances of you being wrong than right. In most cases, that's a nervous system problem. Most people don't know this. They think the dog's being naughty, being aggressive or being stubborn. They respond with corrections, with shouting, with frustration, and they wonder why nothing changes. The reason it doesn't change is because the dog isn't choosing the reaction. The reaction's happening to them. In this video, I want to walk you through what's actually going on inside the dog when they react. Because once you understand the mechanisms, the standard advice starts to look ridiculous, and what actually works starts to make sense. Your dog has, in a simplified sense, two brains running at the same time. The thinking brain and the reacting brain. The thinking brain's the one that learns commands, makes choices, and processes new information. When you train a dog, that's the part you're working with. It needs the dog to be calm enough to take in what you're showing them, to make the connections, and to choose a response.
The reacting brain is the one that fires up when the dog perceives a threat or a trigger. It's older, faster, and it bypasses the thinking part completely. When this brain takes over, the dog isn't choosing anything. The system's shifted into survival mode, and survival mode's a one-way ride until the trigger's gone. In a regulated, calm-down, thinking brain's in the charge most of the time. The reacting brain's available when it's genuinely needed, but it's not running the show. In a reactive dog, it's the opposite. The balance is broken. The reacting brain's closer to the surface, easier to trigger, and slower to come down once it fires up. The dog spends a lot more of the life with the wrong brain in charge.
When a trigger appears, like another dog across the road, a stranger approaching, or an unexpected sound, the dog's nervous system runs a calculation in milliseconds. They go through an influx of thoughts like, is this safe? Is it a threat? Do I need to act? Do I need to hide? In a regulated dog, that calculation usually ends with a quiet, no need to act. The dog notices, registers it, and then goes back to its baseline quickly. In a dysregulated dog, the calculation tips the other way far too easily. The overreacting brain just takes over. Adrenaline floods the whole system, cortisol levels spike, the dog's heart rate jumps through the roof, the breathing changes, the muscles tense up, everything in the body is preparing to act. At this point, the lunging and barking, snapping that you see isn't really the issue. The issue is what's happening inside the dog before any of that becomes visible. And that's the point, your corrections actually don't work because they're not in the learning state. Your dog's not in the right state to learn. There's another piece that's almost nobody discusses, and it's most important. When the dog has a big reaction, the chemicals released into their system don't disappear the moment the trigger's gone. The dog might look calm again within a few minutes, but the nervous system's still maximum elevation. This is why reactive dogs always have a worse day after a big reaction than they did before it. Owners experience this all the time and they don't know what they're seeing. They take the reactive dog out, it's had a big moment, they get the dog home, and 20 minutes later the dog seems calm. But a dog with a properly elevated cortisol response can take up to 72 hours to fully return to baseline. Stack a few of these events on top of each other in a week, and you've got a dog whose nervous system hasn't been calm for days, sometimes weeks. This is why exposure-based training, where reactive dogs are repeatedly placed near their triggers in a hope of getting used to it, often makes things worse rather than better. You're not desensitizing the dog, you're keeping the system in a constant elevated state, which makes the next reaction more likely, not less likely. If reactivity is a nervous system problem, the work's got to address the nervous system. Everything else comes secondary. The first piece is threshold management. You stop putting the dog into situations where they go over. Not forever, but for long enough that the system gets a chance to come down and stay down. The second piece is building genuine calm as a default state. Structured rest, routine, predictability, environment management. The dog learns that the default position in the world is settled, not vigilant. This takes weeks to months, depending on how dysregulated the dog's become. The third piece is rebuilding the relationship with triggers, slowly and far below threshold. The dog learns that the trigger appears, nothing happens, and the world continues. Not by being forced to tolerate it, but by being given controlled experiences where the trigger doesn't produce the old response because it's not allowed to. And the fourth piece is teaching the dog to disengage and check in with the handler. Not look at me as a command, but a genuine internalized pattern where the dog's first response to noticing something is to come back to you and check in. That's built through hundreds of small reinforced moments over time. It's not a quick fix. Now, none of this looks like traditional training in the moment. There's not much obvious obedience work. There's not much corrections. There's a lot of quiet, patient work on the underlying state. Obvious results follow at the back of that. Owners can find this counterproductive. They want to fix the lunging. The lunging's the symptom. We're working on the system underneath. If you've got a reactive dog and the standard device hasn't worked yet, this is probably why. Most of what gets sold as reactivity training is aimed at the wrong target. Too often, when the nervous system's worked on properly, the obvious behaviours change quickly because the engine that was producing them has been switched off. It's slower than people want. It looks less impressive than people expect. But it's the only approach I've ever seen that produces results that actually last long term. And we use it on every reactive case that comes through our doors. Subscribe if you want more of this. I'll keep posting about things in dog behaviour that don't get explained properly from someone who works with them every single day.